This is a brief review of the Optimus Polaris stove. So I have been, I've been using an Optimus Crux stove for, gosh, I've been probably using this for 5 years or so. But it's got its challenges, but obviously the beauty of it is it's tiny, right? And so it cools extremely fast. It's a great stove if all you're really wanting to do is heat water for ready-to-eat meals, things like that. It's a fantastic stove. One of the downsides is it does only use the canister system. So it's fast, it's easy, it's small. The downside is a lot of places you can't get the canisters. You never really know exactly how much fuel you've got left in the canister because it obviously never changes size and you can't see how much is in it. And so you never really know, do I take one canister? Do I need to bring another just in case? I've done that a ton of times and then end up, carrying the entire trip 2 canisters because I had way more in the first one than I thought. I started looking for a multi-fuel, and I've looked at the Dragonfly. The Dragonfly is a great product. The one thing that I had to have was simmer, and so I wanted to be able to cook real food. If I want to cook rice, or if I want to cook a stew, something that's going to take longer but at a lower heat, the Optimus just won't do that. I started looking for something that could do both simmer, multi-fuel, and if possible, also canisters, because canisters are very convenient and there is some benefit to those at different altitudes. The challenge is there aren't any. There's like 2 or 3 out there that can actually do the canister as well as regular fuel, white gas, diesel, things like that. The Dragonfly by MSR is a great stove. Does the simmering. It does not use canisters. That's really the only problem. It is a bit loud. It's louder. It's actually louder than this one. But beyond that, it's a fantastic stove. It's pretty big, packed up, and I believe the weight of the Dragonfly is a bit more than the Optimus. I also looked at the Primus, and in fact, I chose for my cookware, I chose the Primus kit. But when I read the reviews on the Primus multi-fuel stove, there were a lot of issues with the pump mechanism failing. They chose to use a leather gasket, basically, on the inside that actually provides the pressure. And if you don't maintain that leather properly, it will fail on you. I believe the MSR use a plastic pump. It seems to hold up a lot better. So that's just a little bit about what my process was as far as looking for stoves. A little brief deal of how this works. You've got your white fuel canister. It does come with it. This unit here actually will plug into a canister. And so that's kind of the difference in the nozzle system between the Nova and the Polaris, is you get this different mechanism that will also allow you to use a canister. These little wings that flip out allow you to flip it upside down to where it will, in higher altitude, I believe it's in higher altitude where you flip it upside down. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But you flip it upside down, and then you're actually running liquid fuel instead of gas. Okay, so that would be your option there. And so that's for the canister. And then otherwise, you just leave those flipped, but it still uses same jet. You don't have to change the jets, which is, I believe that's pretty unique to the Optimus. The design of the stove itself actually is pretty compact. So it flips shut. I do wish that this actually had some mechanism of folding or something, because this sticks out pretty bad. That folds up, and then so that's basically the size of your stove. Not bad. And this will come off, although I never take it off. You've got an off label on your canister, and you have an on label. There is a tube that goes up in that actually pulls the fuel in, and it's at an angle. And so when you flip it one way, it's out of the fuel, and the other way it's in it. So we're going to do that. Now, you always have this one turned off. You pressurize the canister, and you'll start feeling resistance on the pump. And then you open this valve that's at the nozzle of the tank. Okay, now that doesn't actually release any fuel because you've got your second valve here that's your simmer valve, and this will actually release the fuel. You release just a tad of fuel, and you'll see it bubbling in there. Okay, and once it's got a little bit, you shut it back off. There it goes. So it starts a yellow flame, as you can see here. And then eventually the excess will burn off. It'll heat up the jet. And at that point, you will be able to, we'll turn the fuel back on. We're just letting the excess burn out right now. All right, now it's getting about ready. That's not the flame you want, so you're wanting it to heat on up. There we go. So now you've got the blue flame. And now I'll put the hood around it just so it will stop doing what it's doing. I was doing that so that you guys could see it. This hood does come with it. And that's it. So pretty easy to crank up. Now, I'm also going to start this one because I'm going to fix some coffee. Again, this is the Primus cookware. This stuff is fantastic. The skillet has a very heavy stainless steel bottom and makes it extremely good for cooking. Very even cooking. This is another benefit. For very little space, I can actually have access to 2 stoves, which is very cool. As you can see, that's about as big of a pot as you can put on that one. All right, we got water boiling. I'm cheating today. I've got Vias that I'm going to use. I have to say the center of the pan does cook much faster than the outside because the burner is only so big. So you kind of have to arrange your stuff to where the stuff you just have to rotate your stuff. If it's something like this, now if it's in a stew or something, it's not gonna matter. Really like having 2 stoves. Coffee served. I could have never done that at the same time. Without two burners. Now, add a couple of eggs to the mix. I've got it really low. You pretty well have to go by the sound because you can't see it in the daytime. Breakfast is ready, so I'm gonna flip the can over and let that burn out. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna clean it up some. I love this pan. You just put a little water in it at the end, and no matter what you've done to it, because I got a little burnt, not burned, but caramelized, because it's just brown. But it makes it really hard to clean unless you clean it while you're at it. And voila, clean pan. So now, flip this over, let that burn out, and then we'll turn the nozzles off, and we'll eat. Bon appetit. There's no need in eating lame food just because you're camping. Eggs last forever. Bacon you can find just about anywhere, and it lasts a long time as well. And who doesn't like bacon and eggs? Good stuff. A hot breakfast out here. Beautiful stream running. Hot coffee. Pretty sure this is why we do this. Cheers, everyone.